In the previous video, we learned that values, not variables, have a data type, and that the data type is essentially a description of what you want to do with the data. There's more to it than that, but for our purposes right now, it's essentially what we intend to do with the data. And we learned of 4 data types, and we'll learn about a couple more a little bit later. There's the number data type, the string, the bool, and the undefined. So let me ask you this. What happens when we need to use them together and they don't quite work the way that we think they should? What options do we have then? So let's go ahead and create a new file. I'm going to call this Coercion, Coercion.js. I think that's how you spell it. And let's start off with a quick little example here. So let A equals 7. Let B equals the string, the literal string. So I want to use single quote 6 single quote. All right. And then let C equals A plus B. And then console.log answer. And then C. All right. Before we execute this application, what do you think is going to be output when we run it? What will the answer be? All right, get that in your mind. And now let's go node and coercion. And looks like we don't get anything at all. Oh, I need to save it. Okay, there we go. Let's try that again. There we go. We get the answer 7, 6. Wait, 7 plus 6 should be 13, right? Why are we getting 76? Something, I can see what's happening. It's not treating these as 2 numeric values. It's treating them both as string values. So it's not adding 2 numbers together. Somehow it's coercing that A from a string or from an integer into a string and then concatenating together A and B. So this operator, the plus operator, we saw how we can use it for addition, but we also, it plays double duty, and it's the string concatenation operator. But moreover, JavaScript realizes that it can't add a number in a string. It's like adding, you know, an apple and a car together. It's not like making an apple and an orange even. It's not like fruit salad. It's like 2 disparately different things. What do? Well, I will take the numeric value and coerce it, convince it, force it against its will to become a string, and then I will concatenate the 2 together. So that's the notion of coercion, and most people consider that to be an evil thing or a very dangerous thing. And others just say, well, it's just what happens, you know, it's just part of the language. Now, what if I really wanted to perform addition on 2 integers? Well, then I would need to take steps to force the string 6 to become a number so that I could then add them together. And so to do that, there's actually a special function that will force that conversion. So let me change this just a little bit. And we already have the value b, so I'll just reuse the value b, and I'll set b equal to parse int. Now, I want you to notice something. I haven't really talked about Visual Studio Code much, but one of the nice things about Visual Studio Code is that it popped up this little box called IntelliSense. And IntelliSense is just a visual cue as I'm typing to show me things that I might need to reference, or things that will help me to find the right command or the right idea. In this case, I knew it was something parse, so I start typing in, and I can then use the arrow keys to start looking. I'm like, oh yeah, there's parse float. That would give me a number with decimal values. But in this case, the string that I want to use, I know that it will only be a value without any decimal point. So I want to use the parse int. Now what I can do is just use the space bar or like the opening parenthesis, whatever the next logical character is, to do what's called code completion, so I don't have to type everything else. Now in this case, I know that I'm going to need to use the parenthesis for reasons I'll talk about later. So I'm just going to do an open parenthesis. Well, it didn't do it for me. Well, let's just go ahead and use the tab key instead. All right, so the tab key will give me what I want. Now I'm inside the parentheses, and I need to pass in, first of all, the string that I want to change. So in this case, take the value of B, and then I need to give it optionally what's called a radix or radix, and that is essentially the base system. So if I wanted to use like a hexadecimal, I might give it 6, but in this case, I'm going to give it 10 because I want to a base 10 or a decimal conversion. All right, so that's a little technical, but typically if we use 10 in there, we're going to be just fine. So essentially what I want to do is take this 6, and based on the normal decimal system, I want to convert that into a numeric value, and then I want to continue on in lines 4 and 5 like we had before. Let's see what we get this time. The answer is 13, just as we had hoped. All right, so the parse int is a built-in function to JavaScript, and I can count on it being available in Node or in a web browser or any other implementation of JavaScript. All right, so I guess this begs the question, what if I try to do something kind of evil with this? So let D equal parse int, and then I'll use the tab key to do the code completion. And this time I'm going to pass in a character that will not convert to or even a string that will not convert into a numeric value, especially one that's decimal. So I'm going to save this. Well, let's go ahead and console.log it and D. And so let's go to that, and then we'll do this. All right, and I get NaN, which represents not a number. It's not really an error, it's just telling us that the value we passed in is not a number. We could actually do something along these lines as well. Let E equals is NaN, and then I can give it some numeric value. In this case, I'll give it D, and I'll do console.log E. So let's save that, run it again, and so this time, now I'm evaluating whether D is not a number, and that is true. It is not a number because I can see it here that's printed out. All right, so we saw 2 built-in functions, but there's a bunch of built-in functions for various things, all kind of centered around, in this case, just working with coercion and checking the results of that attempt to coerce or convert one data type into another. All right. Unfortunately, there's no parse Boolean, so you can't take a string of true or false and convert it into a Boolean. You'll have to take a few extra steps. There's a bunch of examples online for that. And so depending on the type of conversion that you're attempting to perform, it may not be easy to convert from one to the other. There's always a way, and usually you can find some code online, especially on a site like Stack Overflow, that will help you figure that out. But that's all I wanted to say. Let's continue on in the next video. We'll see you there. Thanks.